Well, as you can see, we're doing something here a little bit different. I've got an 11 by 14 inch canvas on here, and I've got a pretty detailed sketch of a lighthouse. Now, I'm going to be doing a mixed media painting, which means I'm going to start with acrylic. I know this is my oil palette, but I can't find my acrylic palette. It got lost during the move with the class and everything when all the stuff came back to my house. I can't find it, so I have to go and look for it. I think I know where it is, but I'll get to it later. Anyway, my point is this is my oil palette, but I do have acrylic paint on here, and I'll put it across the screen to remind you, and then I'll also let you know when I change to oils, but this is acrylic again. Okay. Now I'm going to just mist my canvas lightly. I've got just a pencil sketch, nothing fancy at all, and I'm just going to paint in a bit of a background color, some yellows and whatnot, just real sparse here. I can always increase the brightness if I want to. I don't really want to destroy my lighthouse. I'll have to paint it back in as it is. There it is. That'll be fine. And then as I work away, I'm going to go ahead and just get a little darker and darker and darker. In reality, you could have done, and maybe I should have done the background first and then put my sketch on top. Oh well. So at least I know where it's going to go, I guess. There you go. Okay, and I'm just going to continue over here. I would have used my normal acrylic size, but you know what? I was out of them. A little disorganized. I'll just blame the class. A little disorganized coming back from the class. But even though it was like 3 weeks ago, I don't know if it even counts anymore. There we go. Very soft yellow color. And honestly, I can do a lot more with this, with the oil stage. I'm just sort of setting myself up for the rest of what's going on here. Now I'm going to take just a very small amount of blue, red, and white and mix these together. I don't want it, I do not want it dark at all. I do want it on the blue side. And what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to drop in the tiniest little bit of a blue sky, kind of a light indication up here of just something other than this yellow. Now, it doesn't have to be perfect, and it's probably not going to be. I'm just starting because I can do more in oil if I choose, if I need to, you know. So for now, just sort of getting it where I want it to be as a base to work. When you do work with mixed media paintings, it helps to keep that in mind, you know, the intention of, oh, hey, I got to go back and do this again with oil. You may not want to, you know, go too far in one direction, if you know what I mean. So for instance here, I might just take a little bit more of my yellow and I might just try to work these, kind of back over, get a blend. There we go. My yellow has dried, so I'm not going to get any kind of a soft blend there. But see, it's not critical. I can just take my finger and rub it, but if it doesn't turn out perfect, I can always add oil on top, which is a nice feature of doing the mixed media. Of course, skies, to me, are probably the hardest thing to do in acrylic. Not that they're too hard, but you know what I mean. They may be a little more challenging. There we go. And so being able to go back and paint your final areas of the sky with oil is maybe a nice thing. Now I'm just rolling in some clouds here using my number 4 bristle brush just to establish a little bit of, well, something that's kind of going on. There's quite a bit of movement, a little bit of storminess to the sky, and I think that that's very pretty. It doesn't have to be fully established yet. You know, we've got plenty of time that we can work with this. I'm just using what's called dry brush blending techniques. The paint, of course, underneath is dry, but the stuff going over top of it is thinned down just a little bit and it kind of glazes over. It's dry brush blending. All right, a little bit down here. You know what's fun is we can actually, if we want to, don't have to, but if we want to, we can take a little bit of blue and I can actually work blue right over some of these areas. Just sort of feather it in because see, that would be kind of hard to do later, but it's pretty easy now. Put that blue in without creating green. Now is the time. Really, it looks pretty good. There. We should take a minute and look at the paintings that you guys did in my last one. Share your version of what I'm doing here today using the information on the screen. And if I see it in time, I'll put it in the next video. So I'd really like to see it. There we go. And also, I need to give a big thank you to our Patreon members. We're having a lot of fun over on Patreon, doing live streams and different, I'm about to do another video where, or not a video, but I'll do a sketch. Like I'll do a drawing and I'll post it, and then you guys do your version of that drawing. And then I will review them. I'll review all the paintings in a video. So I'll look at your painting if you do it and send it to me there on Patreon. And I'll kind of give you some feedback. And those have been very helpful. And they've been, I think, really helping people to advance in their paintings, to give them a bit of a challenge. So if you're interested, I'll link Patreon information down there in the description below. Now I'm going to go ahead and mix up a quick purple, just like that. Doesn't need to be anything too specific, just a soft purple. And I'm going to paint in, maybe just a little dark. Let's go a little lighter. Let's go ahead and paint in this distant, very distant bit of land here. And I like that. I think that'll work, you know? It's not critical. Just got to get it in. Okay, I'm gonna kind of stay within the lines today, a little bit more than normal because I spent, several minutes kind of coming up with a sketch. There we go. And I am continually misting my palette. I'm also going to tilt my mister bottle up and just give it a quick squirt like that. Just not hitting the sky, but just the land area. Oop, it's a little red. Let's go ahead and tone that down a little. Anyway, I'm going to just kind of use this as an opportunity to paint in a lot of, that's actually the land right there, a lot of my dark areas. This is not rocket science. This is just, let's get the color in. It's nice to do it now rather than later, just to begin to see it, taking shape. I'm going to take kind of a dark, medium, dark green color, not really super dark, is it? And I'm going to block in some trees up here. It's good to get in and do a little blending with your finger. It's water-based acrylics. I've got no trouble, doing that. There we go. I'm going to just kind of get this established. A little bit of treetop action. Lost a little bit of my house there, but that's okay. Now all the colors, you can vary them quite a bit. That's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to vary my colors, put in some blues and whatnot, not keep it all flat and dead, but I'm going to try to put in some variation. Oh yeah, look at that little light there. So anyway, I'm just going to play around with this until I'm pretty much filled in. Now, you really could do this in any order that you want, but I'm going to go ahead and just take some of my yellow ochre tones and begin to, maybe just a little burnt umber as well, not just pure yellow ochre, white burnt umber, and just begin to underpaint some of what is going to end up being not any time recently. Come on, gather my thoughts. Not any time too soon. Is going to be some land and some sand and dirt down here. I do want grass on it as well, so I'm going to leave some room for grass, or else I'll have to put my darks back over it. So let's go ahead and get some of that in. Some areas that we could use for grass there. Excellent. May still have to go back over it, but you can just see that I'm beginning to build up the landscape, and you can also probably see how important it was, at least for me today, to go ahead and get that pretty good sketch in there. It was a fairly decent little sketch. Just throw color in for a beginning. When you're just starting out a painting, just throw the color in, then let it develop. That is absolutely something that may help you. Absolutely something that may. What does that even mean? That means nothing. But people say it a lot. This absolutely may. Yeah, no, I'm going to say it. If you just begin to throw color in, it absolutely will help you. You will do better. If you just let go. Don't be so tight. Because overall, the years, that's probably the number one problem I've seen people have, is being too tight. Now I'm going to place in some water here, some shadow water. A lot of this is not dry, but I'm just going to let it dry rather than hit it with a hairdryer. Hitting it with a hairdryer does work. It's just if you don't have to, well, that's one less thing to do. So I'm going to just do something else. There we go. Just placing this in and around. It's very important not to do too much to the rocks until you get the water pretty much established, because otherwise you just waste a lot of time. Ask me how I know that. So I don't really want to go any further on the rocks until the water is mostly complete. Pretty. Look at that. It's not maybe overly well defined, but at least it's going the right direction. I can allow this to dry and then take a look at it and see, do I need it to go any lighter or darker, you know, depending on where I'm at in the ocean. Now obviously here, well, it's obvious to me, obviously I want to go a little lighter in some of these pockets to create some foam. And so I'll do that. Again, right around the rocks. Don't care about the rocks. There we go. Still working with my acrylics. I'm going to take some of my burnt umber here and red. I'm going to see about getting my little lighthouse in. This is nothing more than a paint by numbers, really, at this point. Sort of hold my breath and throw it in. There you go. It may take a couple of coats to get it even, get it a good coverage. Maybe down here. See, you can do whatever you want when it comes to this. Really, you can do whatever you think is going to look good. You know, you don't want it to look weird. It's easier to paint bigger because your brushes are bigger, and I understand where they're coming from, but they're wrong. And that is just the way it is. There we go. Yeah, I like that. I'll just continue to work here, just a little by little. Don't want to lose my whole sketch. Fill that in. Of course, this lighthouse could, just like a tree trunk, could grow on you if you're not careful. Now I'm thinking very soon about changing over to oils, but I'm going to try to get a little highlighting in with acrylic just because I can. Go ahead and get this established a little bit more. There we go. So I'm just working up with just a soft yellow color. I like this because I can get some of my yellows pure without it mixing, and then later on, of course, it'll mix. And that'll be just, you know, it'll be what it is, right? It'll be okay, but it will mix later on. So go ahead and get my yellows in now, and later on when I build up more paint, it'll begin to mix a little more. So a little more pure right now. A little bit here. Bring that out. Little by little, working this in. Oh, it's kind of pretty. I'll get some light coming right around that. So anyway, I'm just going to continue to work this in and around, taking my time with it, really. There's no need to rush it. Now I'm going to underpaint this building right here. So let me get a color real quick. There's acrylics, it dries out pretty quick, you know. I got to continually mix up more color if you don't remember to spray your palette with water. But anyway, I'm going to just pull down right here and create a building. There's the face of the building, like that. A little taller, it's definitely on this closer piece of land. These are supposed to look further back. That one especially. I might raise the top of that roof line up a little, I don't know. And then these I might fade out with a little fog. See, I'm gonna roll some fog in through here, but let's go ahead and get this one in. Don't make the mistake of thinking you have to come in here and paint it just because it's this size. So I'm about to make that mistake. I think I want it a little shorter. Don't worry about the unpainted areas. That's irrelevant. See what I mean? Paint it the size you want it. Don't worry about the unpainted areas. Then go back in and fix it, which is what I'm going to do later. And then a nice darker kind of a shadow side here as well. And that is really just what I want. Pretty good right there. I just can't quit with the acrylics here. I just decided to plop in a few rocks. Kind of thought maybe I'd do more of that in oil, but I probably still will do a lot of it in oil, but just wanted to see some of it completed in acrylics. So there you go. A few little rocks. Up in here, perhaps, might as well go ahead and get these rocks established. My paint's starting to dry on me, but that's okay. Maybe just a little highlight. Of course, I'll probably highlight this one more time, or 2 more times, or 10 more times with the oil in just a moment. There we go. would not hurt to take either about an hour-long break or else spend several minutes with a hairdryer. Just make sure this thing is dry. Maybe an hour is kind of excessive, but you know what I mean. A good half-hour break. Make sure this thing is dry before you proceed to your oils. I just think that would be wise for safety's sake, since you are changing paint. Just make sure that water-based acrylic is good and dry before you start layering oils on top. However, layering oils on top is totally safe and normal, and you do it every time you paint, because every canvas that you buy, apart from just a couple of specialty brands, certainly anything at your art stores, is going to be acrylic gesso, which is just acrylic paint. So you're always painting, no matter what, you're always doing oil over acrylic. Now I've cleaned my palette and I've changed to oils. So from here on out, we're doing oils, and I can never go back to acrylic. So I've got my detail brush. I do have some clear gel to help things flow a little. I put out way more paint than I need, but it helps me to mix. If you've just such a tiny little pile, you try to mix colors, sometimes that can be a little hard, but don't waste paint. Just put out what you need. Now I'm going to take some yellow ochre, white, and I'm going to work on my sky. My sky is only half finished, really, if that. Even maybe it's not even half finished. I'm going to go ahead and just go right around my lighthouse with a little of this color. What I need to do in my head is at this point change my gears a little bit, because I don't need to rush anymore. There's no rushing with oil. You know, it's not going to dry quickly. That's for sure. There you go. So I'm just going to work in. There we go. I had to think about it for a second if I could put my hand down. Of course I can. I'm going to need to keep track of where is wet and where is dry. Just painting right around that lighthouse. I do want the lighthouse to have a fuzzy quality about it, and we'll work on that in a moment. But at this point, I just need to place this paint on. That's probably good enough. I'm going to blend and feather this. I'm going to blend and feather this out. There we go. Now I've got a clean, dry 3/4 brush. You could use anything. I think it needs to be really clean, really dry. And I'm going, this is kind of an older one, as you can see, a little, beat up. I'm going to take the edges and feather them like so. Maybe put a little paint. As much as I tried to have a clean brush, it's not totally clean, so I'll put a little yellow in it. Anyway, I'm just going to continue to work out these edges and soften it so that we get a bit of a glow. And my clouds, I'm going to paint some on my clouds next as well. Now here I'm going to roll in a little bit of highlight on these clouds, just like that, very sparsely. There's my color, kind of an orangey color. And it's pretty straightforward, just a bit of highlight. I don't want to destroy my clouds, what I've done with my acrylic, but I just want to enhance them and bring out some of the light. And I think that this will work. And just like that, not a big thing, just straightforward. I like this. To me, this adds something to the painting. And you know what? You can do a lot with a little here. You can really do a lot with a little. Wouldn't hurt to make it a little more yellowy. You can really take this in a lot of different directions. We just make this a little more yellowy down here, just for the sake of changing it up. I enjoy that. I like variety in my paintings. Without variety, your paintings are bland, obviously. And I don't like bland paintings. There you go. Now I'm going to try to mix up a little bit of a gray here, kind of a neutral gray, purpley base tone there. A little yellow in it, kind of turns it gray. And a little bit of clear gel is a good thing, really. And here's the thing. It would be very, very easy to go ahead and just destroy everything I've done. Be totally easy. I still haven't blended my lighthouse yet, but I'm going to go ahead and just set this color down again. There it is. And just a glaze. I'm going to roll my brush like so. That house is really close. I don't think I want any glaze on it. These are far away. I do want a glaze on them. So I'll just roll that brush over and over until, say, it just feathers them into the distance. Most of the time I don't like to get my fingers in the oil paint. However, the paint that I use is the Gamblin 1980, which is, of course, safe. But be very sure you know what you're doing before you put your fingers in any paint. And I don't use paint thinner. Don't have it in the house at all. Right here, I see just a little bit of fog or haze right over that. Oh, push that right back. Just right over. See, this kind of thing is where this mixed media really shines, creating the little bits of fog, and you can do it very precisely. See, I floated just a little fog right there, separated that out. I mean, you can be more precise in mixed media fog than you can just about any other way. There you go. And fog right there as well, mist or fog. And then if I want to just touch up here in the clouds and just sort of blend them, I can do that. Not too much, I don't want to lose them, but I might just do that a little here and there. Don't want to lose it. There we go. Got to do some work here to the water. I think it's about time. So let me start. Everything, of course, is just little bits here and there. It's nothing that's going to be overly wild or too much going on. So I've got clear gel, white, and Hansa yellow there. Just for start. Well, you know what? A little bit of yellow ochre wouldn't hurt anything either. Maybe. Let's try this. I do want to see just a little bit of a brighter light from behind that rock. Of course, I can do that. One of the big keys to this, one of the nice things about this is because this is mixed media, that rock right there, apart from having a glaze over it of that transparent color a moment ago, is dry. And I don't have to worry about accidentally touching it and dragging dark color through my highlight, which would normally be a big concern. There you have it. Painting is awfully subjective, isn't it? Sometimes it's kind of makes you want to tear your hair out because it's so subjective. Your favorite painting is somebody else's least. And then it'd be just right, the opposite would be true as well. Your least favorite, and that's probably more of the time, your least favorite painting is somebody else's favorite. So subjective that you almost have to just kind of mentally step aside from it in a lot of ways. It's funny. Don't let it get to you. Do what you like. And follow basic rules of nature, if that's what you're going for. I'm going to grab some of my yellows and orange tones, and I'm going to, you see light coming through. I would imagine it's striking this cliff here. Yeah, it's somewhat backlit, but then we'll see some light wrap through it. I think would be kind of pretty. There we go. Why not? Boom, just hit it like that. That looks pretty decent, doesn't it? That looks pretty decent. And maybe right in here, just a little shot of light. I don't want to overdo it because I really just need a little. I just want that acrylic to shine through. Don't want to overstate any of the highlights. I think just a little bit goes a long way. Because that acrylic showing through, it's all the detail is there. I'm just trying to enhance what's there. A little, not a lot. Don't need it done to the extreme. Now I'm going to work in a tree, so I'm going to thin the color down because it's got to slide over a dry canvas, really. I'm going to paint in a tree right here. It's like, where do I want that tree? It doesn't hurt to hold your paintbrush up like this and kind of get an idea of where that tree might look good. I like those little houses. I'm going to try to put them maybe back here a little so they kind of fill this blank area rather than going over my houses, but maybe I'll bring in a branch like this, just sketching the tree in. There we go. And maybe I'll do a few trees that are like that. Wouldn't hurt to kind of bring a branch over that, house to push the house back. Otherwise the house just kind of stands out too much. Now I'm just blocking in a few little leaves here. Of course, I'm starting with my lighter ones first, then I'll work into my darker ones because I think that will create a nice backlight. I don't actually know it's going to create a beautiful little backlight, and I think it'll work out. So there you go. There's a little bit of our yellows and oranges. I do like to vary the colors. I'm getting no mixing per se, a little bit of mixing here on the clouds, not a lot. And so, it does help to vary the color. I'm going to kind of leave some of it sparse down here. Just a little bit of foliage, but not much, and I can have a lot of branches up in through here. I think that'll be very interesting. And I'm going to actually fill it in fairly thick and fairly solid here in the middle of the tree. to give it that deep, dark, backlit, sunlight, sunset look. You really get a scale of just how tiny this painting is when I stand next to it like this, but I hope you enjoyed it. I had a good time. I learned some stuff along the way. Don't forget to check out our website, our DVDs, and brush line. Thanks for watching. Well, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Remember to subscribe if you're not already, and click the like button. That helps me out a lot. Stick around, watch a couple more videos, and stay inspired.